1 Samuel 30 verse 8, pursue them and recover them all. Hi everybody. Today we are going to do a Bible study from 1 Samuel chapter 30 verse 8. Let me read first. And David inquired of the Lord, shall I pursue this raiding party? Will I overtake them? Pursue them, he answered. You will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue. So the title of this Bible study is called Pursue Them, Recover All. All right. To know a little bit more about what happened in this specific chapter, so go from the beginning. So David is more like a camp. He has it's called Ziklag in that specific location. He has his wives, 2 wives, and his men has they have all their families, the young, the old, animals, and they had a situation with Philistines, and they come back and they see we see in verse 1 they had Amalekites attacked Ziklag and burned it. And not just that, they took their captives, the women and everyone else in it, both young. I'm right here. I'm in chapter 30 verse 2. Both in young and old, they killed none of them, but carried them off as they went on their way. Now, so when David came with his men, and I'm going to read verse 3. When David and his men reached Ziklag, they found it destroyed by fire, and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. So David and his men wept aloud until they had no strength left to weep. I can relate to that. When the enemy comes, and attack you, the enemy took everything, including family, you name it, everything that belonged to them, like everything that was valuable to them, everything was taken. Have you had a situation, and I did, when everything was taken from you, and then what else is left? You fell in so much weeping. They say they had David and his men wept aloud. Men don't actually cry, but not just cry. They had a loud cry, and they cried that much that they had no more strength left to weep. Imagine how much they cried. Imagine that you wake up, you come back and everything is gone, I know somebody can relate to this. I know for sure. And also David's 2 wives had been captured. So we see here David in verse 5. David's 2 wives had been captured, and it says which wives they were with him. And David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. Have you found yourself that among all this, you as well, you lost everything? Just say your wife left, took the kids with her, emptied the house, took the furniture, everything. I'm just giving as an example. And then you have nothing else left. But so did your friends. So there's nothing to, like somebody to comfort you. You have nobody to comfort you because your friends had the same situation. They lost everything. You lost everything. They lost everything as well. So nobody to comfort you. So you are there by yourself, crying out loud, weeping till you have no more strength, and you don't care who will hear you. And now the one that they lost, they come over your head now and then blame you for whatever happened to them. They blame you. So it's what David was facing right now. So beside what he lost, his men, they're coming over him, and they will, it says here, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Stoning in that time, when somebody did something out of it, and they stone the person to death. They throw on the person so many stones till that person dies. So he was in distress. His companion, his man that they been in the fighting for for the land, being together for so long, more like friends, they are talking pretty much kill him. Because what? He didn't lose, he lost as well. He is in the same situation. He's mourning with them. But what David had, what the other ones didn't, he was close to God. Look what it says here. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Yeah. So when you find yourself in a situation like that, when everything is sinking down, you lost everything, now your friends is blaming you for their loss. Oh, it's your fault my wife left. It's your fault my kids happened this. It's your fault I lost my belongings. It's your fault. And makes you sink down, much deeper down. But God found strength in the Lord his God. So if you are in that situation right now, you got to turn around and find your strength in God. Let's read a little bit lower. 7, verse 7. Then David said to Abiathar, the priest, the son of Ahimelech, bring me the ephod. What is ephod anyway? So ephod is worn by the high priest. When people are coming to the high priest wears the ephod in order to get their sin to be forgiven by God. That was in the old time. They didn't know about Jesus. Jesus wasn't even in that time when David was on the earth. Jesus didn't die yet for our sins. So it was in the old time and is in the old Bible. And so David as king, which a king doesn't mix with a priest. If there's something, they will call the priest and let them then call the sins of their people, and they let the priest deal with them. But this time he was disturbed, and he got the ephod himself, put it around his waist. It's like an apron, and he was dealing with people's sin, and probably his as well. He's putting everything as a priest does. And what he does next, so as he prays, so he got into talking to God was praying, was bringing the sins of the nation of Israel, sins of people. Whenever done, he doesn't know, and he's talking to God. Abiathar brought, which is the priest, they brought it to him, was the ephod. Now, the one we are focusing, and David inquired of the Lord. So David was asking God, inquire. He always did that. Not always, but whenever he did, it always turned out well. Shall I pursue this raiding party? Will I overtake them? So he's asking, can I go after them, find them, and will you give me the, will you be with me? Will you give me them in my hands? And God answered, pursue them, he answered. You will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue. So, pursue them, overtake them, and succeed in the rescue. Okay? So, and it's what we're supposed to do. When we have a situation we are dealing with, we should inquire of the Lord. Should I do this? Should I go after that? What should I do, God? You have to stay in your quiet place, in your secret place with God, and ask God, what should you do? Because with our mind being in stress out already, it blocks parts of your brain. You can't think straight. And you want to do good things and ends up in the doing bad things instead. But when David stayed with God in his quiet, in his secret place, and took the position as a priest, so he went and he talked for people, and he took the lead and asked God what to do. And God gave him, okay, go for it. I will give you success in everything that you do. And so he's gathering his people. So he says he's gathering 600, but they come to the 200 they are too exhausted. They come to a valley and they can't go any further. So he ends up getting the 400 with him, and they keep going. In the way, they don't know where they're going. They're just going. They don't know. They just try to find any clues on the ground, anywhere, to see where they went. Because it's God's hands in here, and God is guiding David now. What happened? In verse 11, they found an Egyptian in a field and brought him to David. All right. So David could say, "Oh no, this is the enemy. It's from the enemy land. Kill him now." He was into the same thing that they took my wives and everybody's wives and children and everybody else with a hate. It will say, kill him. But David, no. That's why he has a heart of God. What happened? They gave him water to drink and food to eat, part of a cake of pressed figs and 2 cakes of raisins. He ate and was revived. He was about to die. So Amalekites let this one behind because probably he couldn't walk anymore. He left him to die. He had not eaten any food and drunk any water for 3 days and 3 nights. So he was about to die. But guess what? David helped him. His people bring food and gave him food, and he comes back in his own strength. Now, so he pretty much saved his life, rescue him. David, in verse 13, David asked him, "Who do you belong to? Where do you come from?" He kind of knew what happened, but he wanted him to tell the story. And he says, "I'm an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite. My master abandoned me when I became ill 3 days ago." So they gave rid of him. And that's not the heart what David has. And it says, we raided, and it tells exactly that they raided the Negev of the Kerethites. Some territory belonged to Judah and the Negev of Caleb, and we burn Ziklag. When it's like, hey, I have actually a part of the enemy in my hands now. The enemy is in my hands now. This one, I can do the same to him was he, but guess what? No such thing. David actually, he has wisdom, and then he's going with wisdom. Verse 15, David asked the servant of Amalekites, "Can you lead me down to this raiding party?" And then, so they agree with it. So we go back here, and then it says, "Make sure that swear to me that you're not going to kill me, and do not give me to my master's hands." So, the servant leads him where the other ones were, and then he gets himself loose. He goes. He's pretty much is a slave, a servant, and he takes away. His life was saved. But as a reward for doing that, God sometimes he tests us, yes, I promise I'm going to give you your wife and everything that you lost, but will you take care of my people? Because every single one, bad or good, those are God's creation. Even though they did bad to us, we cannot turn the bad to bad. We cannot turn evil to evil. So he led David, and they fought them from dusk until the evening and next day, and none of them got away except 400 young men who rode off on the camel and fled. David, in verse 18, David recovered everything the Amalekites had taken, including his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, young or old, boy or girl, plunder or anything else they had taken. Okay? So they're bringing back everything. Even like I says, his men drove ahead, and the livestock, and I said, and they were saying, this is David's plunder. So everybody's happy. They go back. Now they meet the 200 that they couldn't make it all the way to the end. But the 400 that they come with the plunder, with everything that they got, they refused to give the other ones anything from it. But we go in verse 22, but all evil men and troublemakers among David's followers said, because they did not go out with us, we will not share with them the plunder we recovered. However, each man can take his wife and children and go. But David replied, he has wisdom. He could say, oh yeah, sure, they didn't come, so let it be, just give them the children and all that. And he says, no, my brothers, you must not do that with what the Lord has given us. He has protected us, delivered us into our hands, the raiding party that came against us. you can't do with that with a God's children. Whenever you got, so what if they couldn't make it because they were weaker? They should have from the share. So he gave them the part from the share of the men who stayed with the supplies. The supplies, they were much weaker, they couldn't come. And not just that, David put that, because he is the king, he put that in the statute and ordinance for all Israel from that day. Now, not just that, when David reached Ziklag, he sent some of the plunder to the elders of Judah, who were his friends, saying, "Here's a gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemy." Yeah. So, and as God say, pursue them, overtake them, and succeed in the rescue and recover all. So in other translations says and recover all, and it says in the rescue, succeed in the rescue. I would say I like it better, pursue them and recover all. Overtake them, like you have to fight the enemy because the enemy is there in the field. You gotta fight them, pursue them, go after them, go and fight them. That was the next step, and succeed in the rescue, and then take everything. I'll say all the belongings that belongs to you, plus I guess they got more, and then not just that, they give it to the 200 people, 200 men that they stayed there, and the elderlies that they were in Israel, and doing good. When even though you are down, nothing can stop you to do good, because doing good and help others, rescue the man that was a servant in the enemy's land, rescue the man. He actually showed that actually he has the heart of God, and God was pleased with him, and went and give them the wives and children back, and on the top of that. But do you think that if we'll go and kill the man because it was on the enemy side, will do any good to rescue their families? No, God will not. God will not go for that. And and not just that, they found the wives and the children alive. They didn't touch them. The enemy didn't touch them at all. They were alive in one piece, all of them. Imagine the celebration when they came back. When you follow God and you listen what God has to say, and you do exactly, and you have the heart of God to help others, you will always win. God never lost anything. A battle, never lost anything like that. Never. God is always winning. And if you're on his side, you will win as well. I hope you understand these lessons, and you do what David did. Have a heart of God and be good, even in your distress, even in your situations. Help others, because as you help others, God will help you as well, and will give you on the top of everything else, will give you more. All right, so here concludes our lesson for the day, our teaching Bible study, and till we meet next time, I will say goodbye.